If a politician secretly records a conversation with anyone, it's wrong. When that politician is a cabinet minister secretly recording a public servant, it's wrong. And when that cabinet minister is the Attorney General of Canada secretly recording the clerk of the Privy Council, it's unconscionable.
Passionate speech right there, and words from the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau addressing the news that Jody Wilson-Raybould and Jane Philpott were removed from Liberal caucus yesterday. Eric Merkley, political scientist, you've been with us this entire time following this story. Saw some of your tweets. Obviously, you were fired up about this, but give us your reaction to the news and the words from our PM.
Well, it was a sad day for democracy in Canada, frankly. And let's be clear about what he said there. It's all more or less nonsense. Canada is a one-party state. You don't need two-party consent in order to do any sort of recording. Michael Wernick was not a client of Jody Wilson-Raybould, and Michael Wernick was not a member of the Liberal caucus. She was documenting wrongdoing, and she acted accordingly. And we know that this is really just a pretext for booting them out of caucus, because it was also Jane Philpott that was removed as well. She didn't tape record anybody. So let's be clear about this. It's an excuse to do something they wanted to do a long time ago.
So what do you do? I mean, there are a lot of critics out there that take the side that you're presenting. If you're in the PM's position and trust has been compromised, as he describes, what is your best political play to maintain a unified front, given you have a Liberal Party to maintain in an election year here in 2019?
Well, we need to be clear about something here, and that's a choice that Canadians have made, that we need to have unified parties that have no dissent within parliamentary caucus. But we're unique in that front. If you look at other Westminster democracies like the UK or Australia, there's plenty of room within a caucus to disagree with the leaders, particularly if it's on one file. For example, the current leader of the Labour Party in the UK, Jeremy Corbyn, was an obscure backbencher under Tony Blair's government, and he voted against the Labour Party very, very often, in fact, more often than not, including opposing the Iraq War. So it's only in Canada where members of a parliamentary caucus have to sign on to the personality cult of the leader, and that's not the way it should be. We need reform.
And with this reform and with this change now, like moves, what do you make? If we look at Jody Wilson-Raybould, the newly formed Vancouver Granville riding that came up in 2015, she had 43% of that vote. In Jody Wilson-Raybould's tweet, she's saying that she stood up for her values and she's taking time to reflect. What do you think is the best move? Because as an independent, she has that stance of integrity that voters would probably support.
Yeah, but it's a tough road for independents in Canada. They don't have the same level of support of the parties. Campaigns increasingly in Canada are centralized with the major parties. She's not going to have the volunteers, she's not going to have the money, she's not going to have the resources, and most people vote for their own party. Both her and Jane Philpott are going to have a really tough slog. Yes, they're very popular, but even still, people tend to vote with their party. Independents don't usually have a good showing. So it's going to be a tough road for her. We'll see if she even runs for re-election at this point.
What do you think is the best move, whether it's for Philpott or Wilson-Raybould?
Well, personally, I would like to see them run for re-election. I think they're an important voice, and it would be really a shame to lose them in Canadian politics. It's not very often that we have kind of strong signals of integrity from elected officials to the point where they're willing to give up cabinet portfolios. You know, the raises, the drivers, all the perks and benefits. They were willing to give all that up on a point of principle, that there shouldn't be unnecessary intervention in independent prosecutions, and that it's important to have those people in politics and in our system. And so I really hope they run again, and I hope they win. But it's, again, as I said, it's a tough road for independents.
And if we look to the Liberal side, and I think in 2015 there was a powerful moment where the PM stood in front of the media, 15 men, 15 women in his cabinet, and people said, why did you want this gender equality? And he said, because it's 2015. He campaigned on transparency, emphasized feminism. How does he maintain that brand now, given what's transpired?
It's gone. It's gone. The brand's gone. You can't leak things to the press through the PMO, belittling and trashing a former justice minister, You had members of the Liberal caucus saying, oh, she just couldn't handle the stress and pressure of being Attorney General. You have, leaking confidential information about a judicial appointment to the press. Like, this is all, the brand's gone. The brand's gone. The brand, as far as I can tell, is we're not Andrew Scheer. And I don't think that's enough, but we'll see what happens. As long as Scheer and the Conservatives decide they're going to play footsie with anti-immigrant xenophobes, it might be enough, but we'll see what happens in the next election.
Well, this campaign year is going to have a lot of eyes on it, given what's happened early in 2019. Eric, as always, thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me back.
Appreciate your analysis. More of your news. Let's head back over to the desk.